Hello, everybody. It is me, Game Penguin 21, and today, oh boy, we're going to be talking about Reforge gaming today. Hell yeah! So, for those of you who may or may not know who Reforge Gaming is one of the dudes of all time who tends to talk a lot about PlayStation and tries to denounce a lot of Xbox stuff. Now, again, he's the different flavor to certain other people, such as, people that I've talked about in the past that I can't name off the top of my head because it's late of work time and I'm just wanting to get a video out today. But obviously there has been some discussions and things talking about specifically Reforge Gaming, and after last week's pretty decent amount of stuff that I wanted to talk about and cover, let's get back onto the salt train. Now, mainly what I'm going to be talking about today is two things that Reforge Gaming has said, mainly talking about how people are, quote, astroturfing for something, but also how pay-to-play online isn't that bad, which, to be fair, is kind of interesting. Also, another interesting thing to note is that I went to go and check on Reforge Gaming's stuff because this thing just so happened to cross my feed here, and turns out I am blocked by him. Just gonna let that sit there. Oh well. Anyway, let's get to the first person. Let's get to the astroturfing, I guess.
This is why I don't really hold back on this anymore. These people were actively astroturfing for Microsoft. They were actively misleading the public. I'm not pulling my punches on this anymore. I'm not being nice. There's no reason to be nice about it. Misleading the public isn't the same as having an opinion. You could have the opinion that you like one platform over another. You can have an opinion that you wanted ABK to happen. I don't care about that. You can have those opinions and you can have those loyalties to Xbox as a brand. But to actively grab things that that man said and then use them in the way that I guarantee that's what he wanted to happen. He wanted that interview with Windows Central to convince people, no, it's not happening. That was the goal. That was the intention.
So you're getting mad at people for making speculations about what someone has said based on specific things that that person has said and the media twists it? Have you never, ever worked in any sorts of media ever? I mean, maybe in some cases you could say that they were astroturfing, but I've seen a lot of people more or less doing that with PlayStation and not Xbox. Because again, if Xbox just farts in the wrong direction, they're basically going to get lambasted by everyone and everything. The ABK deal probably is the biggest example of this because Sony, hey, decided to just go to the FTC and be like, they're doing something, they're making a monopoly. And now, look at where Sony is concurrently. They are getting sued by several different bodies or by a class action or something about artificially increasing prices on their storefront for no reason. Oops.
Intention with the podcast was that everybody would run with it and astroturf and basically make it seem like everything's fine, nothing's going. They were astroturfing. They weren't all saying the same things.
Much like how you're astroturfing right now when it came to things that Sony was doing. Things such as the price increase. I didn't see any hubbub about you talking about the price increase when they did it initially. Or the supposed tariffs that are supposedly doing that. But that's more of a governmental and political thing. That doesn't really matter too much, but whatever the fuck. Overall, I saw you doing the same thing, but just for Sony whenever they fucked up, talking about things like Concord and how Concord wasn't going great. I don't know if that was you specifically, but there was other people doing that on Sony's side. So, just kind of makes it a bit of an interesting thing, comparison-wise. Glass houses, dude.
The same phrases by accident. And a hit dog barks. If you don't like me saying this, it's because I'm hitting a bullseye. It's like they knew what they were doing. They were keeping the public in the dark, willfully. They weren't doing this unwittingly. These people have been in the industry too long for me to believe that. They were willfully keeping the public.
I mean, some people can fuck up in the industry as well. We're also talking about gaming's journalism here, which has been known to be very fuck-upable, extremely.
Public in the dark. So yeah, you can be mad at Xbox. You can be mad at Phil. You should also be mad at the outlets, YouTubers, podcasters, and pundits who played the game. They played the game, and they're playing the game now. They're playing the game now.
And that's actually kind of a fair point here. Saying that it's, just Phil's fault, or, it's just Jim Ryan's fault, or, whoever the fuck the CEO of Sony is or whatever is now. You could obviously blame, like, one or two people for really doing that. But overall, the media reporting on it does also have very bad track records here. If you want a really old example, but one example that really kind of got blown out of proportion was the 2016 thing where No Man's Sky would go around, and the media basically, if you don't explicitly say something, they will literally blow it out of proportion. There's a couple good videos that were talking about No Man's Sky and how they didn't really handle the marketing correctly for a number of reasons. The one being, though, that the gaming media was really the one that kind of just drove it home for no reason.
Phil blows the dog whistle, acts like exclusives are bad, acts like exclusives are anti-consumer, and now they're all saying the same thing. Nothing has changed. Every year, it has been the exact same song and dance. 2023, they all astroturfed for the ABK deal. 2024, they all astroturfed for the fact that, no, they're not becoming a publisher. They're not going to move the big titles. 2025, they're all astroturfing, acting like exclusives are anti-consumer and that this is where the industry's going. All they've done from that year to this year is just repackage what Phil says as if it's gospel. That's it. That's a pattern.
I've actually never really cared about what Phil Spencer has said. I've always been against exclusives, at least ever since I moved over to PC. Now, I used to be okay with them because, I was on the Xbox side, but I was much younger than I am today, and I realized how dumb that kind of thinking was because, again, I never had the option of, having the other games. I was always jealous of having a friend who always had, like, a PlayStation, and I actually kind of did want his games, but, again, that's because I liked the games at the time, but at the end of the day, now I just don't really care, and I think that exclusives are really dumb because, again, as someone who has a marketing degree, limiting your audience like that, specifically on places where your audience is already in a limited space, limiting them even more is kind of stupid. But overall, what about the people who were, say, quote-unquote, astroturfing for how Concord was a successful game? Or how people have been astroturfing for a lot of other video games that were actually, couldn't break, 10 to 15,000 players for whatever reason, and continuously keep failing over and over again? And how, when Sony, when a former CEO of Sony said that, they need this money to make the bigger and better games that you would want for things such as PC port, which is basically like printing money, which a lot of people were talking about. How is that, how is the people who are against, statements like that, or we're trying to move the narrative in that way, not astroturfing in the same manner? Just kind of seems weird to me. I think we don't need to go too far on with this. I was going to go over some of the replies here and how it was like a conspiracy or whatnot, but I think that I'll just kind of flash a couple of them up as I just talk over this bit, because I kind of want to get to the second video, which is kind of more important and the more relevant and the more recent one that kind of came from it. And where did I get this one? Good old Astro Cyborg. He hasn't blocked me yet because I actually kind of like his content and he's not a dingleberry about it, but whatever. Overall, I just find it interesting how I've been blocked by a number of people this week, but who else the fuck cares? Overall, look, people astroturfing will happen. Maybe things will happen this way. Maybe things will happen that way. I don't care. At the end of the day, I don't think people were astroturfing for that. I've seen a lot more people trying to play up Sony being okay, and saying, hey, Sony needs to do this, Sony needs to do that. So, just my personal opinion. Anyway, let's move on to the second clip, which is having to talk about the pay-to-play online.
Free-to-play games, you don't have to pay for the subscription. You don't have to pay for PS Plus or Game Pass or any of that. They removed that a while ago. Now, if you want to play, Monster Hunter with your buddy, you need to pay for the online. So I know people don't like that and they're frustrated by that, but you're paying to use their infrastructure. I mean, what do you want? Again, you just want all that to be free? You want millions of people to just use their infrastructure and use all the bandwidth and log in and play with people and then complain when it's down and be angry when it's not working right, and that's all supposed to just be free?
I mean, sure. Valve does it. They do a pretty decent job about it. A lot of their infrastructure, is just them being a storefront and them using the bandwidth and stuff, but they still have to process payments, still have to process all of that stuff. And they still have a pretty decent text chat and all the services that are available on Steam. Yeah, they kind of do take up at least some bandwidth and information. Now, I'm not sure how much of it is actually them doing that because, again, they have to kind of host the servers or host the information on the platform. So maybe it's slightly different. But yeah, PC doesn't have that interaction where you have to, pay someone else to use the services that are there, use whatever services are on the PC. And yeah, what's weird about that and what's dumb about that is that during the PS1 or PS3 era, when Xbox originally, I think, or Xbox and Xbox 360 were kind of coming into their own about online play, both of those only existed to have a paid-for online during like the Xbox 360 era. PS3 didn't have that. I don't know if Xbox originally had it when they started. Maybe Xbox Live did start that, but Microsoft did it before. I know that at least Microsoft did it before Sony, and then Sony hopped on later, and then Nintendo also hopped on later. Both of the previous companies, Sony and Nintendo, had their stuff for free. Free, mind you, all their online services were free, and you could still pay and play all of their games on there. It wasn't paid for until later. And they didn't necessarily have to do that. So why wasn't it a thing always to use their services? Why did it only just become a thing kind of more recently-ish?
Well, because Steam makes it free? Yeah, I know. We've had this discussion before. Fazoli's makes their breadsticks free. That doesn't mean every Italian restaurant's giving you free breadsticks. Like, one business model doesn't need to match the others.
And that's true. That's very much true. But at the same time, we're talking about video games here, and that's like a slightly different thing. And my biggest question, and a lot of people's biggest question, is why? Like, the biggest thing that I've been told is that, oh yeah, you're using the services of this, and this, and this, and they use all this stuff, and it's like, why can't all of that be free, and they just, use it to pay for the games? Maybe because they're running it on their own servers and infrastructure and stuff, but even that's not been true for a long-ass time, because, again, the actual developers still have to house it on their machines, and they don't see that money of them, getting paid for monthly by that. At least they don't think so. It's very strange.
And that's the thing. If you like that, then go there. Never go to the Italian restaurant that charges you for their really fancy breadsticks. Just keep going to Fazoli's. And if you're like,
Thank you. I will. It's not hard. I just don't know why you're getting upset about it.
will never get on a console because they make you pay for online, and Steam doesn't make me, well, then just stay on Steam. Like, that you've determined your preferences. Go where you get what your preferences are.
I mean, again, that's what we're doing automatically for anything anyway. And I always find it funny how, again, PlayStation fanboys always seem to get upset about being like, oh, well, just stay on your platform. It's like, yes, that's what I was in the middle of doing on purpose. I'm just asking the question as to why. You're the one getting offended by me asking that same question as to why you have to pay for online. You haven't given me a straight answer other than maybe that you have to use some of the bandwidth for their servers or whatnot, which, again, only really applies to very minimal amounts depending on various aspects of what you're using. I don't know. Just seems weird to me.
It's that simple. A Member Plus renewal from Backman on a Bike. Renewal. Missed last week because of a family trip, and man, it's going to be back. Heck of a day. Yo, thank you so much. And that gets us to 35. We're 15 away from the 50. I'm going to drop a 10 bomb when we get to the 50. Thank you guys so much. Steam isn't providing messaging, chat, voice, etc. They provide messaging. Like, you can type back and forth. You can, like, do, like, a little chat box.
They also do provide voice in a few other things, including things such as Steam achievements, where they are usually tracked on it, as well as several other things, including different aspects of like points redeems and things, so they have to run those shops as well. Apart from that, yeah, they're not running the official servers, and PlayStation is also not running the official servers. They only have to run some of the other stuff. There is voice chat on Steam. It's not great, and it's not mainly utilized about it, but it's one of those things that Steam does have. They also do have text chat and emojis and things like that. Apart from that, I think there's also your Steam inventory, which they run on their own servers, and that runs with specific Steam games. And all of that has to run in the background. Apart from that, I think also they have your friends list and notifications and things in that nature. And that seems to be all that they run. So yeah, there is actually voice and text chat that are available on Steam. Just no one really uses it because everyone uses like Discord and stuff. So,
but yeah, it's using game chat. Why do you think things like, historically speaking, why do you think things like Roger Wilco and these other voice chat solutions came into existence? Because guys on PC wanted to be able to talk to each other, and a lot of times the in-game chat would be really, really bad. I don't know if has Steam added voice chat since. I remember people always complaining about that when we would go to play Destiny. They were like, the game chat's terrible, let's use Discord. He said cross-play.
And that's true. And they actually didn't just add the voice chat. The voice chat's been around for a while, at least on Steam. But recently, I think, got an update when they did like a whole revamp of the site. It's just that Steam doesn't necessarily focus on that. But yes, they do have voice and text chat. But also, the games that also run voice and text chat also have in-game voice and text chat. For example, the finals recently got text chat, and they have always had in-game voice chat, because the in-game voice chat is usually game-dependent, not just for that. What you're specifically talking about is things like party chat, which things that uses specific stuff. And when they're talking about let's use Discord for specific games, it depends on the game. I know for Arma, a lot of people use things like TeamSpeak because they didn't have like an in-game voice chat, or they didn't utilize it as well because it was made by an indie developer and they didn't actually have that. So again, Steam does have voice and text chat, but what you're talking about and what we would refer to as, say, Discord or Steam voice and text or like PlayStation chat, all of that would be classified under party chat, which is different infrastructure entirely because it relies on specifically different mechanics, I think. Maybe not mechanical. I don't know, but that's a different network infrastructure. I don't know what to tell you. But overall, I think that this Reforge double feature is as good as completed. Overall, what did we learn today? Well, apparently, people astroturfing for Xbox, or quote-unquote astroturfing for Xbox, are people that are just giving general critiques of Xbox, and that there is apparently no one ever doing it for PlayStation ever in the history of ever. So, that's cool. But also, that apparently Steam just doesn't have voice and text chat, and they can get away with it for free because reasons, I guess. But overall, I think that'll about do it for today's episode of I Ran Into This Microphone, and just trying to smell like a beer, maybe. If you like what it is that I do, want to support me in any other way, shape, or form other than like and subscribe, which is always enough, please hit all those links down in the description below. I do other more short-form content on this channel as well as I'm looking into starting live streaming. Take Me Higher, which is my new single that I was going to be releasing sometime possibly next month. I did also have a lovely time this month because it was my birthday last week and I was having a good time. So that's why this video might be a little bit late. Overall, thank you so much for watching again, and a peace off.